Hey, just a quick video for those of you who are learning astrology. So a little bit of advanced astrology here for you. Because somewhere, someone or multiple someones are having listened to my November horoscope are saying that A, I don't know what I'm talking about, and B, morality and ethics come under Jupiter. So they're only half right. So yes, morality and ethics do come under the auspices of Jupiter, but also Saturn. I'm going to explain why in a second. And they are wrong about the fact that I don't know what I'm talking about. I do, in fact, know what I'm talking about. And now I'm going to share a little secret with you. So grab a piece of paper and a pencil, because everything around here is about learning and doing, right? And I want you to find, either on the computer or one of your books, the symbols for Jupiter and Saturn. Okay, so Jupiter looks like a scythe. Okay, well, like a funny scythe. And Saturn, of course, looks like a sickle. No, it's a sickle and a scythe. So Saturn, of course, is like that. So I want you to write these symbols down next to each other, okay? So you start with Jupiter, because Jupiter comes before Saturn in the zodiac, and then you go to Saturn and put it right next to it. Now, what I want you to do is kind of take a moment and step back a second. One of the things you're going to notice is that Jupiter and Saturn, the symbols, actually look like mirror images of each other. So if you flip one upside down, you've got the identical mirror image of the other, because they are like this. So the thing to understand, right, or remember, the thing to remember is that in astrology, everything that we do is based on symbolism, right? We take our cues from the cosmos. And if we look at the planetary alignment, right, it goes Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and then Saturn. Saturn represents the maximal limit of the human experience. Now, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are modern or outer planets. They have different functions. But in the traditional horoscope, right, that they've been using forever and ever and ever before the last three outer planets were discovered, Saturn was it. Saturn represents that point where your essence, right, your spiritual divine self takes physical concrete form and manifests or makes contact with the physical world, okay? Because Saturn rules reality, gravity, limitations, the physical form, right? The limit to whatever is possible in terms of an expression. Karma, which we also know actually translates into consequences, okay? Saturn rules gravity and boundary, all of the things, time, measurement. Saturn represents all of the things that make up the physical reality that we experience while we're here, okay? So Jupiter comes before Saturn, which means that Jupiter precedes Saturn. Once you hit Saturn, that's it. Like, there's nowhere else to go. I mean, other than, the outer planets. Again, whole different conversation. So Jupiter does rule morality and ethics, but Jupiter rules morality and ethics in the academic sense, in terms of what is possible, in terms of the philosophical considerations of these things. Because religion also, which covers, or it should in society cover, morality and ethics, religion comes under the auspices of Jupiter. But these things are academic exercises. These are intellectual exercises. These are the thoughts, the potentials, the philosophies, the principles of these things as they expand outwards. And one of the things that we know is because it's an intellectual or mental planet, these things also have no limit. Like, we can extrapolate outward forever, in the discussion of these things. If you ever, don't get offended, but if you've ever dealt with a Sagittarius or a strong Jupiter person, they are perfectly capable of debating something for hours, days, weeks, months, like blowing things up huge. Jupiter, the planet, is a giant gas bag, and people under the rulership of Jupiter are not necessarily any less prone to really filling up a room with a lot of hot air, right? They love debate, they love exchange, they love ideas, because that's Jupiter. Morality and ethics also come under the auspices of Saturn, because remember, Jupiter and Saturn are literally mirror images of each other, and Saturn is the physical expression of reality as we live it. So morality and ethics come under Saturn in terms of our lived ethics, our lived morals. Because, like people who are involved in religion or study religion, right? Maybe you went to school to study theology. You can study these things and have an unbelievable grasp and academic appreciation of these things. You can have a fine intellectual warehouse of information and points and all sorts of things, comprehension of ethics, morality, religion. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you are living those things. How many times have we seen this? Okay. So Saturn is where you have committed in action. Because remember, Saturn's about the physical here and now, not the idea of something, but the actual doing of something. Okay. Saturn is the lived experience. So Saturn is the active lived experience of your ethics and your morality, okay, and your values. So it's not the intellectual understanding and the great, endless philosophical debate. It's literally, how are you living your life? Your values are not expressed by what you say. Your values are expressed by what you do. And Saturn is about the actual lived expression of that. So when we talk about Saturn or morality and ethics coming to the auspices of Saturn, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the great intellectual exercise of Jupiter on the traditional rulership of morality and ethics under Jupiter, because that is true, but depending on how you're using the chart and the information you're gleaning, that's not necessarily a completely accurate correlation that we're looking for. Saturn, on the other hand, right, is absolutely about the lived experience, what you've committed to in action, not words. So when we talk about Saturn being on these morality and ethics being on the auspices of Saturn, what we're talking about is morality and ethics as it is lived and committed to in action under the auspices of Saturn. So that's where that's coming from. So if anybody tries to tell you that I don't know what I'm talking about, you tell them just blow it out their hoo-ha, right? Because clearly I do. And astrology is not quite so simple. Reading the cookbook of stuff, that's a starting point, but that's not the everything. So there you go. That's your advanced astrology tip for the day.